Hello, comrades. My name is Gerard Dalbon. I'm a member of the Democratic Socialists of America based in New York City. I'm originally from Romania and a current organizer working in the DSA International Committee. I have been in DSA for 3 years and the IC for 2, and over the past year, I have been involved with much of the anti-war organizing in the IC for the Asia-Pacific region. We've worked on opposing the escalations the US has been mounting in the new Cold War on China, coordinated with comrades in Korea to call for peace on the Korean Peninsula and for lifting the US travel ban and sanctions on North Korea, hosted an anti-war conference with organizers across the Pacific talking on local opposition to US imperialism and military presence, worked with Philippine organizers to oppose the Duterte and Marcos abuses against labor activists and working class people in the Philippines, and of course coordinated with comrades in Okinawa and Japan through ZENKO to oppose the construction of a new US military base in辺野古. I want to express my solidarity with activists in Okinawa and Japan organizing against rising militarism and for mounting this resounding campaign against US military bases. I feel very honored to work with so many great organizers who are fighting tirelessly against US imperialism. So far this year, we worked to help promote the ZHAP campaign, in which ZENKO has managed to get nearly 10,000 signatures to oppose the辺野古Ora Bay base construction. We put together a great webinar event in March that got thousands of views, which Pat Deppen and DSA facilitated with Fumihiro Mori and Masanori Okuma of ZENKO, talking about the local opposition and the underlying problems with the new base in辺野古. Seishi Hinata joined us in May for a successful anti-war conference with local speakers from Korea, Guam, the Philippines, and Hawaii, and he talked about the opposition to the US bases in Okinawa and Japan. Then later in May, we also had New York State Senator Jabari Brisport, who represents a district in Brooklyn, New York of nearly 400,000 constituents and is a DSA representative, deliver a solidarity message to organizers fighting back against the construction of the US base in辺野古, which the video was also very widely shared. Since September, we have worked to coordinate on the Okinawa Environmental Justice Project's letter to US Congress calling to shut down US military bases in Okinawa, including the Futenma Air Station and the new辺野古base. We helped to get organizations in the US to sign on and publicize it, and so far over 100 organizations have signed on, including 57 in Okinawa and Japan, and 45 in the US and around the world. We also coordinated to get our DSA state and local elected officials across the country to sign on in October to also support the letter, and so far 42 have signed on, including 4 state senators, 15 state representatives, and 23 city council members. This campaign has started to put more public attention on the issue in Okinawa, and several articles have already been written about it here in the US. Next, we are working to get Congress members to introduce a separate congressional letter they will sign on to and call for a study on the issue with the new base in辺野古, and affirm the calls of local Okinawans opposing these US military bases and calling to respect the principles of democracy and environmental justice, which have been ignored so far by the US and Japanese governments, to the ongoing detriment of people in Okinawa. This anti-war organizing is of crucial importance as we see rising militarism and conflicts across the world, and a record high yearly US military budget nearing $850 billion, with the total US military related spending now over $1.5 trillion. The US continues to have nearly 800 foreign military bases and hundreds of thousands of stationed troops and weapon systems across the world, with the majority of that now in the Pacific region. The largest overseas foreign US military presence remains in Japan, where nearly 120 US controlled bases and over 50,000 troops are stationed. and over 70% of that is located in Okinawa. We see the way the US is fueling militarization across the world with dangerous trends of increasing its military presence, military spending, forming new military alliances, and conducting large-scale military drills. This puts the whole world in a dangerous situation, as we see with the war in Ukraine, where the US has also so far poured in over $50 billion of military spending over the past few months, and with another $20 billion in new military spending now being requested as well. In Korea as well, the US is increasing its military posturing against the DPRK, staging some of the largest military drills in recent history and continuing to refuse to formally end the Korean War or start mending its relations with the North. This is all part of a larger US imperialist project aimed at reaffirming its hegemony around the world as it begins to see China as undermining its geopolitical and economic interests, especially in the Asia-Pacific region. US history is riddled with endless wars that have killed millions of people across the world since the decades after World War II. And this history and its ongoing impacts have never been fully reckoned with. It's more important than ever for anti-war activists to organize against warmongering rhetoric and for peace and the interests of working class people. I am glad that people in Japan and Okinawa are continuing this important struggle. We will all have to work together if we are to avert the serious dangers of large-scale conflicts and be able to instead call for international cooperation around crucial issues facing us all, like climate change. This means people everywhere have to become politicized and organized, especially engage young people and the working class in order to build political power and fight back against the liberal and conservative establishment that have fueled endless wars and conflict. Let's continue building this anti-war working class movement and organize towards a socialist horizon, free of this kind of dangerous militarism and foreign US military occupation we continue to see today. Solidarity.